welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and I thank you so much for joining us here on the program. I'll go through the preliminaries later, but right now we're going to jump right into our guest here on the program. She is a local Santa Barbara, and her name is Jupiter. She's a musician, and she's got some great thoughts and ideas about a lot of what we talk about here on Tell Me Your Story, where we are talking about new paradigms for a new world, giving people choices and knowledge of those choices to help make their dreams come true. And Jupiter, thank you so much for joining us here on the program.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Richard.
I think we're going to have a very interesting conversation. And I think what we'll do is we'll start off with your music, which we will be featuring going in and out of breaks on this special edition of Tell Me Your Story. I want to ask you about the motivation behind your music that you are producing. Now, at present, we have access, and thank you very much, to two songs in particular. We could talk about those, but what about in general? What is the main, if you can put it in this context, the main purpose of your music? What is it that you're trying to convey?
Yeah, it's a great question. So for the most part, for me, my main purpose of my music started as my own personal therapy of how it helped me get my thoughts out there and my soul. So it comes into this whole, everybody has what they need within themselves to heal themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, music has been a way for me to channel that knowledge and that awareness of self, to unlock more of that, what I need to heal and what I am going to need to learn, or just that channeling that musicians can do. That was the biggest part for me. And then as far as sharing it out to the world goes, I'm here to basically bring forth any knowledge that I found that's helped me personally and share it with other people. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just anything that can uplift. I really like to be more uplifting and to break down these old thought patterns that everyone has been holding. We've all have issues with our negative thought cycles about ourselves and about our dreams, and to just really like pick them apart and to show people that it's not your fault that you're having these negative cycles of thoughts, and that it's not that you were born this way and you decided to be negative towards yourself and mm-hmm. that it is the programming that has, out of our capitalistic world, has affected us in this way. And so my main goal is to really try to break all that down for people so they can actually like look at it in a metaphorical sense that might be easier for someone to understand through a song, or feel a concept through a song, through metaphors, versus like trying to figure it out all on their own, or just being lost in their own, windmill of thoughts, and offering a new guidance, a new programming, a new way of looking at it.
Right. It's sort of along the lines for us of, new paradigms for a new world. We're looking for those new ways of living, and it's pretty obvious the old ways don't work. Look around you. Where you have old institutions and so forth, you have old ways of thinking. And I think that Einstein was absolutely right on the button when he said that you cannot solve a problem or face a challenge you cannot face a challenge with the same consciousness that created it. And I find that really, really very profound and I think very apropos in this day and time. Do you think that the past year, the past 12 months, 2020, has helped to sort of accelerate that process of personal growth and or understanding?
Yeah, I feel like it has been a good catalyst for that opportunity to happen if you're willing to invite it in. For a lot of people, I feel like they have, and some people I feel like they've decided to bury themselves deeper in it. Mm-hmm. So definitely comes some, that's your free will, and we all have it. So definitely the deep dive opportunity that has arisen, I feel like I said, I've seen many go one way or the other on it. So I think it's been beneficial regardless, even for the people who haven't chosen to go that way. Just that pullback from everything, everybody's all of the events and everything that we were all running up and chasing after, that rat race kind of like hamster wheel, was slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was really essential. I think that it's also helping a lot of people who hadn't, I think I've seen a lot of people who hadn't seen a lot of it before wake up to it during this time as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think it's been a good reset button to just kind of like take a step back, like the ebbs and flows of the wave, and just it's the ebb. So we can like pull it all in, look at this information, and come back twice as more powerful with our flow.
Do you think that this is going to make much of a difference in, let's just say, because it seems it's one of the 2 or 3 elements that seems to be in the forefront of our social consciousness. I don't know, and I don't mean higher consciousness either. And that is, do you think that this is going to make any difference whatsoever in the current political, and I'm going to say system? I don't necessarily mean the polarization, although that's part of it. But it seems as though, and I've been observing this for the last 40 years, maybe a little longer, when I was a teen, that we really haven't progressed far at all, because we keep going back and forth. The 2-party system that we have, because I'm talking politics here, is more interested in what the party can accomplish rather than what can be accomplished for the people who they're there for. Absolutely. And so it's like we go back and forth and back and forth and back, and it stays at this level instead of, okay, let's go here. All right, great. So now let's go up here, and now let's go. We're not anywhere better than we were 50, 75 years ago. That's just my observation. What about your thoughts about this reset, this pause, this reboot, however you want to describe it in that regard? Do you think that's going to make a big difference going down the road? And again, we're not sitting here, either of us, rooting for any particular party or candidate or anything. We're just, it's like, if you had 2 baseball teams out on the field playing the way that the politics is being played, you'd have a lot of very injured, if not dead, players on the field, because it seems like each party tends to eat its own.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think like what's happening right now has happened before, essentially.
Yeah.
Like what you're saying is like we've gone through something like this, and is it making a drastic change? No. Like, I don't think this is like the drastic change, but I think really what's going to help is the people.
Mm-hmm.
People, power in the people. Yeah. We got to put more power into the individuals, because for years, centuries, the government and just the elite have been breaking us down, making us tired, like taking things from us slowly and slowly and slowly. And it's time that we just have to collectively stand together and empower ourselves. And it doesn't have to be this whole type of, revolution where we're going to be killing people and like that doesn't have to be a part. That's not constructive.
Yeah.
Like, I believe that it's really going to come from empowering people, like literally helping people believe in their dreams and create, because we are sentient beings and we have source inside of us, and it still exists, and we can conjure that creativity back up, which is what this world needs right now, is people creating and people exuding love over fear, and to get them into that and to help the people awaken to their own inner strength.
And the power of the people has always been there. It has never not existed. It's just that the stories that they have been told, the narrative, if you will, has been that they don't really have the power, in spite of the fact that they may use those words. We will do this together. I remember in 2000 when Al Gore was running, and I was watching a speech of his, and he was saying, "Here's what we are going to do together." Da, 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 da. And then the next sentence was and I paraphrase, And now here's what the government's going to do for you. And I turned it off. I said, you've done enough. You've done enough. Don't tell me what the government's going to do, because I am the government. I have the power, not you. I'm giving you permission to be my proxy in that seat for a period of time. Do you think that that's really what's happening, is that people are starting to wake up, but there are some who have, I don't know, maybe woken up on the wrong side of the bed because they turn to violence. They turn to all of these, what I would consider, this is the phrase that I would use, what you're doing, how is that helping the situation? In terms of a lot of the rhetoric, especially the verbal rhetoric that goes on. How is that helping for you complaining and And of course, here I am. I'm now complaining about the complainers.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts in that regard?
Yeah, so I agree with you on the people waking up on the wrong side of the bed. Some people are wanting to get violent with it. I can sympathize, I can feel into that, and I can understand the frustration and the want to act out. But again, I just don't think that that's going to be very constructive to what our goal is here. And really, I think back to like the dollar too, how we vote with our dollar all the time, where we put our money, it's that awareness. It's like bringing about an awareness to people too, and like an actual awareness, not the fake, new age crap that's going around. And like the whole like, oh, I just have to sit here and I'll become enlightened. Like, no, you have to work for it. Like, we got to actually do the work. Like, we got to look inside, and why is this important? Because of what's happening here. We got to wake up and do the work, or we will be run over. We will just keep going the way it is, because the people who are benefiting from it want to keep it the way that it is.
Yeah.
And they have more power. So it's like, we got to step it up. We got to step it up. And that's part of my music. That's part of what I want to like put out there, is like, I want to help people. Like, I want to give them a blueprint of like, this is how you can step it up. This is how we're all going to step it up.
And you have a song called Welcome to My Land. Tell me about that song as we go to break. All right.
So that song I wrote back when I was in a relationship. It was a toxic relationship that I had been in, particularly with drugs. So anybody who's been with somebody on heavy drugs would probably relate to this a lot. But yeah, it was just a good moment for me to like realize. The song was like a realization of like, this is my choice. I walked into this like very much like this person had told me this in the beginning. It's just like, it comes back to when people tell you who they are, believe them. You don't need to repaint people.
Right.
And that's kind of where that song came from for me. So,
well, we'll go out with that as we take a break here on Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. We're talking with Jupiter. That is her full name. Do you have a website that people can go to find out more about you?
I do. It's iamjupiter.com.
I am
Yes.
Jupiter.com.
Yes.
Well, we will be linked to your website. And for those watching on YouTube, you will see her website above her, and you'll be able to find out more about her by going to that website, iamjupiter.com. I'm Richard Dugan. This is Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. And we'll be right back.
Fists were curled, too shy to say hi. He was ashamed of his world. Take a look inside, there's no flaw in his eyes as he grinned. Welcome to my land, he said to me. Welcome to the land of misery. I've waited for you to come along. I've needed for you to sing your song. I'm in hiding, but I swear it's for our sake. Because intoxicated brains lead to heartbreak. Waking up isn't as easy as you said. You're mistaking cold hard ground for a warm bed. And I have tried and tried to let you know that you have got to let me go. But you don't. Welcome to my land, he said to me. Welcome to the land of misery. You left me to weather this storm alone, dreaming of days that you were my home. And I'm hiding just until I feel it's safe. Because intoxicated brains lead to heartbreak, heartbreak. And I'm tired of this feeling inside of my chest. You take me higher just to drop me back down again. Oh, and darling, I warned you from the beginning. You walk straight into my nest. Oh, and darling, I loved you from the beginning. I walked straight. I walked straight into my mess.
Welcome back to Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan. Thank you so much for staying with us here on the program. We're talking with Jupiter, and IamJupiter.com is her website where you can find out more about her and the music that she has available. More music coming in the days and weeks to come. How long have you been a musician? How long have you been producing, or maybe better, writing songs?
Well, I started writing when I was a kid. My dad was a songwriter, and he wrote for the Supremes, actually, back in the day. And he really pushed me and my sister into music at a young age, and I took to it very well. So I did start at a pretty young age, but I took a break. So I stopped right around high school. I was like, all right, I'm done with this for a moment. Didn't start again until about college, and I would say I've gone steady for the last 6 years in writing and guitar, music theory, piano, ukulele.
Wow. And when you record, do you have your own studio, or do you go somewhere to put all of this together?
I have a home studio that I do some of my work on, mostly just like tracking and like figuring out certain sounds, but then I will go and finish it with someone else, with friends. Yeah.
Now, this has always been a question I've been curious about when it comes to people producing songs in studio. And that has to do with who makes the final decision as to how it sounds. And I know that there are producers, and that's what they do. That's just what they do. And it's like, okay, but the person who wrote the song and, or in your case, performed it, because you did both, knows how it knows how they want it to sound. How do you let somebody else in that door to your creation, your baby, if you will, to say, no, we need to do this, we need to tweak this, we need to take that down, we need to do this and that and the other thing. We need to add another track of this, blah, 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 blah. How do you handle that? Or is that even an issue for you?
Yeah, totally. It's yeah, the song Babies, yes. It does feel like at moments where it can be a little frustrating, like, but overall, I listen to why somebody's giving me a suggestion. And if they can give me a legitimate reason, then I will, I'm pretty good at reassessing and yeah, just for what like sounds good overall. But also when I really don't like something, I have no problem using my no and just being like, no, that's not how I want it to sound. I don't like it. And I'm pretty vocal. I'm very vocal when I don't like it. It's all over my face. I'm a very, very expressive person. So even if I say like, most of the time the producers will be like, you don't look like you like it. You're saying yes, but everything about you says no. And I was like, yeah, it's a no. And it usually resolves itself pretty well. So
what is there one particular thing that motivates you in terms of creating a song, writing a song in that regard? Is there something that you look to more than anything else? And maybe the better question to that would be, what is your muse?
Experience, 100% life, just good old life experience. I love it. So I love to just get out there and experience as much as I can. It gives me everything I need. So really just anytime I have like a revelation where I'm like, oh my goodness, this is it. This is what the people like, this is what I need to spread. Like that will catalyst me for writing a song about it. For instance, like if I've experienced something where I was like majorly gaslighted by someone and I took the time to really analyze the situation and sit with it so I could take that information and put it into like a song. And then that song's going to have, a better metaphorical rhyming way to help validate myself and others. Really give that validation to people who were like, oh, I didn't even know like the terminology of all that. And like, I didn't even realize that was happening to me until like I heard that song. And then you really made me feel validated. Like I knew I didn't like that, and then when I heard you singing that, then that gave me the validation that I needed to leave this situation. So really does come from life experience for me. Majorly, like, being inspired by my own life and situations that'll happen. Sometimes I'll be inspired by other people's music as well, for sure. But it usually does come from me really wanting to like, I speak the best when I'm singing.
Okay.
So I think it comes across. I'm the most honest, most vulnerable with my music. My vulnerability shines in my music. So
Now you've been writing since you were a kid. You're still a kid, but there's a lot of years in there just the same.
Yep.
And has there ever been a set of lyrics that you wrote and now you go back and you read it and I didn't want to say that. Is there any of that self-editing going on, or are you pretty honest and you just, when you put it down and it pretty much stays as is?
I've been pretty surprised how much it just stays as is. I haven't had too much of the editing, except for there was one song that I've gone back to and I edited one word just because of like because of all the new movements and all the new things that have happened. I've become a lot more aware of certain terminologies that could be offensive to certain people. And I did go back and like redo a song. I actually played it for you once. Blue Skies has been edited since I wrote it.
Right.
Just one word. I really I had black magic in there and I was using it to describe essentially the hiding of like what the government has done and all of this, like we want to like only give you this kind of information. We're going to sell you something, the selling,
yeah.
all that selling to us. And I called it black magic, but then with all the Black Lives Matter movements, and I started to realize how many Black people actually really like to use black magic as something to empower them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't want to use it as a negative thing anymore. So I was like,
Sure.
well, even though I didn't intend it, I was like, there's probably a better way to say it. And that's a good challenge for me to go back and try to rewrite something a little bit, more true to what I'm trying to get across. So I changed it to twisted magic.
Ah,
I like a lot more anyway, because
yeah.
black infers that there's a white, and it infers duality, and their duality is separateness, and we are trying to go into the fifth dimension of oneness and wholeness, and there only is one source. There's only one true energy, and it's people manipulating that energy for their own benefit, their own selfish benefit, which turns into a darker magic, or a bad magic, if you want. So I liked the visual twist it gives as well. They twisted magic, so they've taken something, they've twisted it. How do you get a lie? A really good lie, you get it as close to the truth as possible.
Yeah.
Taking the truth, it's rooting from the truth and twisting the truth. So that is an example of something that I've definitely gone back and rewritten. So yeah.
As we go to break, Sing Me to Sleep. Tell us about that song.
It's a very beautiful song. I love that song. I wrote that with somebody that I was very romantically interested in at a time. And it was a releasing song, kind of just like my new way of finding love, of like, it's a non-possessiveness, and just, you do your life, I will love you and I will care about you however long it is, like kind of like a soulmate type of a song. And then just this pure love of like, however long, a week, a year, you got me. Do you, I'll do me during that time. But like, there's still this love, even with distance. And that's
Right.
okay. Like, distance doesn't have to be like, you can do your life. There's this control of like, we're together every day and we have to be, or whatever, and just more of like a love and appreciation, like not wanting to change someone, but just loving someone as they are.
Yeah. And that can get to be a little difficult to do because our ego mind, or they call it the monkey mind, gets in there and starts to play games. And so we have to figure out how to move through that. And we'll listen to the song Sing Me to Sleep. Who is this featuring with you?
Michael Lanza.
Okay. And I'm sorry, beg your pardon?
He's based out in LA right now.
Okay.
Pop singer-songwriter, plays a bunch of different instruments, very big variety, a wide variety, saxophone and violin and piano and guitar, very well. Great singer, great writer.
Well, let's take a listen to the song as we go to break. I'm Richard Dugan along with Jupiter, and iamjupiter.com is her website. Go there. I'm sure you're also all over social media as well. And we encourage you to stay tuned to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. We're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. And we'll be right back.
Sing me to sleep, 'cause I have night terrors that haunt me endlessly. Sing me to sleep. I tried to hide my broken pieces, but you could see. And I was wondering if you could sing me to sleep. Can we make this our song for the nights when you are gone? If it be a day, a week, a year, however long, can you be the voice I hear when I'm startled by all my fears? 'Cause I get twisted inside, beating lies that tell me I need to
wandering in places I shouldn't be. Can we make this our song for the nights when you are gone? If it be a day, a week, a year, however long, can you be the voice I hear when I'm swallowed by all my fears? 'Cause I get twisted inside, feeding lies to tell me I need to disappear.
I will play these strings till my fingers bleed. If that's what you need, if that's what you need,
If you need me,
I will play these strings
I can play these strings
till my fingers bleed.
till my fingers
If that's what you need,
If that's what you need,
can we make this our song for the nights when you are gone?
If it be a day, a week, a year, however long,
Can you be the
voice I hear when I'm swallowed by all my fears? 'Cause I get twisted inside, feeding lies to tell me I need to disappear.
Can you sing to me, my dear?
And this is Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, your host. Jupiter is my guest, and I'm curious as to your name. I'm not curious about the name per se, but how you came to have that name. And is it your legal name or just your stage performing artist songwriter name?
Yeah, so Jupiter is currently my stage name, I guess you could say. I am going to change it legally though. I'm going to have it changed.
Mhm.
I came across Jupiter about 4 or 5 years ago. I decided on it, and it came from basically I've always really wanted the idea of having a different name for my music and just to create a character. That's like something that I've always wanted to do ever since I was a kid. I've always changed my name. I've never given people my name. It's like I lost friends over it because they thought my name was Ashley for a time. And like, I just was like going by it and made a whole persona. And then when they found out that I had to write my real name down on a paper once, it was like, she literally, like, I lost friends over it. And I was like 6 years old,
Oh,
7 years
wow.
old. Yeah. But just, I've always liked the idea of having a different character. And I feel like, it gets boring to be the same character. Your avatar gets tired of playing and yeah, Jupiter is powerful. It's the biggest planet. It has crazy storms happening there. It's the only one that doesn't orbit the sun. It does its own thing. It's very unconventional. I love that about Jupiter. And in astrology is where it got me, because in my birth chart I have Jupiter just exploding out, and it's the travel planet. It's the planet of expansion. And that is what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to expand. I'm trying to really expand my consciousness. I'm trying to expand my sphere. I'm seeing how much space can I break my body into? How much can I expand my awareness? And just the expansion that's going to happen over the next few years with our whole society and everything. Like, I want this collective consciousness expansion to happen. So Jupiter's all about expansion, and it's all about how much further can you go, because you can go further.
Yeah. I used to ask a question of my guests, how powerful are we? And many of them would obviously give the same answer. We are infinitely powerful. There's nothing we can't do. And I often think, of course, of the words of Jesus, who was asked about the miracles that he was doing. Well, could you teach us to do that stuff? And sure, but this is nothing compared to what you people are going to do. This, you think this is something? You guys are going to do greater works than this. Now, I have often thought that the greater work was transforming one's life. That to me was the greater work. But I've had other examples people have mentioned of other things that, supposedly we can do. But I think, do you think that the reason why we're not doing those things is because we have been told that we can't, that, hey, the one phrase that really I have a real hard time with is, and it's kind of an excuse for why you're not doing what you want to do, is, well, I'm only human.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of those excuse phrases out there for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think when you said like the I can't do it type of mentality, it's the dream of society. The society dreamt up a dream, and there's rules to the society, what we think is possible, what we think is not possible. And we've seen them break over the years. Like we've seen tons of things where where science has deemed something impossible, and we've broken through to see that, oh, actually, no, it is. So we're all still learning here. And it's also just like, we've been asleep for so long. We haven't moved our bodies. We haven't, like, the mind-body connection is so important, even if, you can't deny the body. The body is our light vehicle. It's our vessel. That's how we are able to interact here on this plane, on this 3D dimension. Like, that's my soul's vehicle. My light body is inside here, and I gotta sync that up. Otherwise, you're gonna have a lot more deviations and a lot more pulling thoughts. It really helps with the thoughts for sure.
Right.
And our third eyes. Our third eyes are just closed right now. Most people, we're not activating fully. We're not in activation. And that's what I believe wholeheartedly where we are going as a species. We are going to activate. We are going to fully activate. Everyone is. And even if you can't hold all the positions or do all the things with your body, it's just going to be a universal, like, awakening. I feel it coming for the collective. I really do. And I just think that we're going to get pushed to a point where we're not going to do it anymore. And there's enough of us, there's enough people out there doing the work that we're going to burst open and help everyone else too. So I see really good things coming for, even though it might get a little bit darker before that happens, I do see an awakening in human species to our true potential and our capabilities of, like, telepathy and telekinesis and things that they're going to try to sell us later down the road with AI, which is the other thing that's all happening, all the AI stuff that's been happening and the possibilities and the technology that's out there already. And the thing is, what I believe is that we already have all that capability within inside of us. If you can find it outside, you have it inside. And so I've already had, who hasn't had telepathic experiences of, like, I was just thinking about that person and they called me. It's a muscle. It's a muscle that can be strengthened. And if you've grown up in a society that's told you can't, of course, you're not going to work on that muscle. You're not going to think it exists. But the more you sit with yourself and meditate, you start to realize that you're like this crazy light being that's capable of the wonders that the quote that you said, Jesus is like, you're going to do more than me. We are capable of that. We are fully capable of it. And it comes to the stillness. And it, again, it's like you see the Buddha on the road, kill him.
Yikes.
Yeah, no, totally.
Jeez.
It is that, no guru type thing. You don't want to put people on pedestals. Like, it is going to come from you. You're the one, you do have it all. There is ways to get help, but I'm a firm believer in, you got your intuition, your guide. We all have to follow our gut instincts in situations, and the voice, and it guides.
Yeah. That's interesting because that's something that I've often said as well. Now, I have never found one individual that I have adopted their philosophy, have followed them. I remember when I was working for the Christian radio station back in Phoenix in the 80s and early 90s, and I was chatting with someone, and of course, we were talking, of course, the personal relationship with God and so forth. And I told them I was on my search. That's what I called it, and I still am. I'm still on my search today. And they said, well, but once you found Jesus, your search is over. And I was smart enough at that time to say, well, actually, once I find Jesus, my search has just begun. Now, I have, as I've said to many on this program before, used autobiography of a yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda, and that philosophy.
I love him. Sorry.
That is my metaphysical primer. Okay. I've read it probably 100 times or more in the last 43 years, actually. And every time I go off in a particular direction with a particular thought or philosophy or what have you that I'm curious about, and it doesn't matter what it is. I've had people from Scientology, from the Muslim faith on this program, Christians of different denominations, Jews. Some of my favorite conversations are with the Jewish rabbis. Just fascinating what they've had to, how much they've had to study and so forth. Atheists I've had on this program, and I found some of them to be the most spiritual people, whether they believe in God or not, or a supreme being or a higher power. They have a moral compass. They do live by ethics, and they have values. I think Madeline Murray O'Hair did them all a big disservice back in the 70s and 80s. And anyway, so, but I've never found that one person, that one philosophy that I felt like I needed to adhere to. It's always been extremely eclectic, I guess is the right word. Is that kind of where you're at? You don't have one. You're trying to check them all out.
Yeah, definitely.
And you find that common thread, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. You do find that common thread. You do. I can totally relate to that. Very much resonates here. Definitely. Yeah.
We're going to take another break here on Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Richard Dugan along with Jupiter. That is her name, and her website happens to be iamjupiter.com, rather appropriate. iamjupiter.com. We will be linked to your website, Jupiter, so that people can continue their evolutionary process through your music, using your music and with it. Jupiter is my guest. iamjupiter.com is her website. Now, and by the way, I also co-host a program called Skyview, where we talk about space, aviation, astronomy, and weather. I'm going to ask my friend Steve Cates, Dr. Sky, about Jupiter, and maybe we'll do I don't know if we'll do a 9-part series, but maybe we'll talk about the 9 quote unquote planets. I'm sorry, I still consider Pluto a planet. I will not accept the degrading, the downgrading, I guess I should say, of Pluto. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's what I grew up with. It's kind of along the same lines of the baseball team, the Arizona Diamondbacks, that I grew up with in Phoenix. And they played in a place they called the Bob, which at that time it was owned by the Bank of what was it? Anyway, it was owned by a bank, and I'll always know it as the Bob. So I'll always have Pluto as a planet along with Jupiter. Do you obviously you've written a lot of songs. Have you written anything of an instrumental nature in terms of types of music that are designed for being used maybe in meditation and those kinds of things? Is that something that has that you've gone down that particular path?
I have not. Most of my songs have words.
Okay.
Yeah, all of them do actually.
Yeah.
I not make I have played music for myself in a meditation actually, which was really interesting. I was able to have somewhat of a Kundalini firing actually when I was playing my guitar
Wow.
and doing what I didn't know at the time was a Kundalini exercise. And I just thought I was being like weird. And then I later, when I entered Kundalini yoga, I realized I was like, oh my goodness, this makes so much sense. This is what I was doing when I was playing my guitar. So yeah, there's so much power. Actually, all the chakras are related to each note, and there's a lot of power in sound healing, in meditational music, of course. Not something that I've really ventured into, though.
Okay. So when you are writing your lyrics, and I'm curious if there's a particular protocol, so to speak. Do you write the lyrics first and then the music comes, vice versa? Is it a combination? The reason I ask that question is because you obviously know about vibration and how it can impact us on a cellular, let alone a spiritual level. And I'm wondering if you ever write the music with that in mind, going with the particular lyrics. Is that ever a thought?
Not so much. It's interesting. I would say 9 times out of 10, I get the melody first before I get most of anything else.
Okay.
The melody usually comes to me first, and then I will say the words, which will be like a topic. Usually it's like a topic, or an idea that comes to mind, and a couple words come out, but then the melody is the first thing. And I'll just say some things to fill in the syllables sometimes, just to get that full melody going, and then revisit, go back to it, edit out the words to make it make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then the chords will come last, kind of like, I guess, simultaneously. It's very simultaneous. As I hear the melody, I go to a piano, guitar, whichever instrument calls me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, they pick me, so I don't really get to choose, but they'll ask, and then I go to the instrument, and then I just start to pick out the chords based off the melody that I'm hearing, and then it kind of symbiotically flows from there.
Yeah. Have you ever felt that the words that you are putting down, and maybe even the melody, are coming from outside of yourself?
Oh, yeah, a lot of the times. A lot. Sometimes I've even written songs where I had to close my eyes while I was writing, because I felt like if I looked, I would ruin it. Interesting experience. It was real. So real. My hand kept writing, and I ended up getting it all out, which was good. And that felt very, very channely. That I felt like it was very, like, a lot of energy was running through me when I was doing that. So it was hard to open my eyes. Like, I had to keep them closed. Otherwise it would kind of ruin the frequency or the conductivity that I was conducting in the moment. So yeah.
This is Tell Me Your Story. I'm with Jupiter. I'm Richard Dugan, and IamJupiter.com is her website. We're talking about her music, her life, the things that she has created over the many years that she has been on this planet, along with the rest of us here. I want to go a little deeper into a little bit more of your inner life, if you will, and I'm curious about your upbringing from that standpoint. And of course, I refer to the religions more as philosophies, because I think that's a little more accurate. I believe that religion, when it's broken down from some of the ancient wisdom teachings, religion has more to do with taking care of, this is more Jesus words, taking care of the widows and orphans. All right. And we can add to that the homeless. We can add to that, the people who are the most vulnerable in our society. That, to me, is true religion, taking care of the people. But in terms of your inner life, your beliefs, your personal philosophy, which sounds to me like it has changed and grown over time, where did it start from for you in your family?
Christianity was huge. That's what I was raised in, for sure. Like 3 days out of the week, I had to go to church. I had like church after school programs that I was in. I had obviously Sunday schools and stuff like that. Very, very intense religion in my family growing up, mostly my dad's side. So that lasted till I was about 17, 18. And then I started to do some more of my own research, and just started to realize how much, they were all philosophies or like stories, and like there was a lot of good things from each of them, but then I was just like, okay, what's really going on here?
Hmm.
Like I started to put my thinking cap on, and I think I've turned into a lot more of a Buddhist now, somewhat. I mean, I don't know, I don't really want to label it essentially, but I identify more with Buddhism than I do
Mhm.
Christianity at this point in time.
Mhm.
I love Yogananda's teachings as well.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really identify with those a lot as well. So it is definitely at a major shift, if you could say that. So yeah.
Well, it's interesting, you talk about not wanting to label it, and that seems to be the key for a lot of folks. They don't want to put a label on it because you can't. And it's sort of like what I shared with my eldest sister many years ago, when she was very deep into a particular Christian sect, as I like to call them. And she was very concerned about my salvation and what I believed. And I said, well, my beliefs of yesterday are not my beliefs of today, are not my beliefs of tomorrow, because I'm still alive. I'm still experiencing. I'm still growing. I'm still learning. And one of the things that I was taught very early on in broadcasting was, when you go into a station, make sure you learn everything you can about everything that's going on there. And once you've done that, you've learned as much as you can from all of the departments, if you will, then you can decide which direction you want to go. How are you going to know which direction to go? And that ties into our whole aspect of choices and knowledge of choices. And one of the areas that I'd like for us to talk about now has to do with, a lot of people are choosing fear these days. Many people, they're raising their consciousness, they're exploring, they're going through these processes, but they're getting really tied up and wound up in a lot of fear over a lot of different things. What is the old saying about worry, for example? Because worry to me is a part of fear. Is that 99%, I guess it's 99% of what we worry about never happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And it is hard. It is difficult. It's really the monkey mind thing that you're saying. Like,
Mhm.
it's being like watching your monkey mind go grab at things, and then like being like, oh, I grabbed at that, put that down. Like, you know, I totally feel that. It's that awareness. We are trying to really consciously bring an awareness of our thoughts and our actions. Just like that first step is so important. We don't actually we don't want to bag on ourselves and say that we're bad because we messed something up. If you were aware of it and you caught yourself in it, that is a huge accomplishment right there, because that's the first step.
Mhm.
It's to gain that awareness of self and being like, okay, I'm feeding into this fear. That is feeding into fear. Even if you did feed into it, if you're able to see that later, that's a huge step.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it is that it boils down to two things: fear and love. That's it. Like, you're either choosing from a place of fear or you're going to choose from a place of love. And the more you choose from love, the easier it becomes to choose from love. It's like a
Right.
muscle. It's another muscle that we have to exercise, and it can be so terrifying at times, because I feel like the universe likes to put us in these situations where you might be the black sheep, you might be the odd man out, and the universe in your gut might be saying, like, you need to stay strong, you need to be you need to stand in what you are. And then sometimes we will fail to the crowd and we will abandon ourselves out of fear
Yeah.
of being, ostracized or criticized for not being the same as everybody else in that current situation. And it's just realizing that you should fear abandoning yourself more than that situation. That should be a bigger fear. Leaving yourself. You should fear choosing fear more than actually like fearing, like that should be the bigger fear here.
Such a paradox.
Yeah, it's something I've been really coming to on my own, because I've noticed in my situations where I've been afraid to, somebody approached me, my friend, and we were having a acro yoga session, and I'm being suspended by her legs in a very delicate position, and a person just decided to come up out of nowhere and try to disrupt that. And I had fear to yell at this person, not even yell, just to tell them, hey, excuse me, we're doing something. Can you please wait? Like
Yeah.
there was the fear of like, oh, they might not like me and I didn't do it, and then
Mhm.
suffered the consequences. But then there's times when I have taken that leap and I'm like, just say it. It's in the moment, it's in those tough moments that we gotta like level up. We get these opportunities all the time, and it is so much more easier once you do it. Like once you do it, it's like, wow, that wasn't that bad. They didn't kill me. They didn't hurt me. They don't not like me. Actually, you find out that people respect you more. It's such a trip.
Yeah, and it's very interesting that individuals would do that. They would step in where, quite honestly, they don't belong.
Yes.
But we do tend to do that. We do indeed, and it's one of those areas where you're absolutely right. The aspect of standing up for self, okay, standing one's ground, if you will, without being aggressive, without being attacking.
Yes. Yes.
That is a skill to learn, certainly.
Yes.
But I think it's one that we need to learn, because I got to a point at that station where I would respond to anybody who was asking me about my personal relationship with God. I would say, I appreciate your concern. I do. But you said it better than I could, because they would use this comment about a personal relationship. You said it better than I could. It's a personal relationship that I have. Okay. It's my personal relationship, and I don't have to justify myself to you or anyone else. Again, I appreciate your concern, but
Like that. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm getting at. That
Yeah.
is a perfect example of what I was trying to convey in that metaphor. So yes, very
Yeah.
much so. It is that. And it is just like, for people who are fearing that, just fear the other more. Fear it more. You are worth it. You are so worth it. You are always worth it to defend you. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's that abandonment of yourself. You don't want to leave like that, any situation, anything, like giving yourself the permission, just that validation. Like you said, like we don't need that from other people.
No.
You can give it to yourself. And coming from an abusive family and being broken down all those years as a child, it was something I had to really learn. And that's a lot of people. A lot of us had rough childhoods, and parents who probably broke you down and made you feel not worth it, or like you didn't have a voice and things like that. But just realizing that that is something that you can get.
Yeah.
That is yours. You are still worthy of that. Everyone's worthy of that.
So when you have had to, and I say had to because you don't have to do this, but when you have spent that time going into self-examination, going into that, in that inner voice, if you will. Okay. Have you had to sometimes back off? This is right now, this is just too much for me to deal with. And again, this is all about the peeling away the layers of an onion. Okay. So you did peel one away today and there's another one tomorrow. Okay. That's just the way it is. But you ever find that I don't want to visit that? I really don't. No. I know it's there. I know it's part of me, and it's why I am who I am today. But
Totally.
is that a challenge for you?
Yeah, of course. I struggle with that on the daily, especially like, yeah, being triggered by things, and I'll get triggered and I'll be like, damn, I'm triggered. No, I hate that I'm triggered. It's like, that means I need to like look at it, and then I'm like, okay, no, I need to, but like can't right now. Like totally feel that 100%. It's not easy. This isn't for the weak-hearted. Like it's a process. It's a process journey. It's a journey, and it's we're all trying to walk each other home here. So
Exactly. So what have you on the horizon for a musical outlet? What's coming up on the horizon that people can look for at iamjupiter.com?
I'm working on an album, big time. That's going to be really fun. So I will be releasing that hopefully within the next projected 6 months before the next year. I may start to do some shows here too. Seems like things are starting to open up. So as that happens more and more, I will start to perform more and put on my website the places and times that I will be actually live performing. So if you want to pre-listen to my album, it'll be performed live.
Is
So
there,
that's always an option.
I'm sorry, say again?
It's always an option, yeah.
Is there a particular message from the album overall? And then, of course, the songs then help to put out that message?
Yeah, definitely. Just a remindance of our power and our sentience and where, your power individually. And just a lot of the words are, I like to sing things that I know other people are going to sing. So what would I want people to say to themselves? And I think about that a lot. Like one of my favorite artists, Nako, one of his songs, he does talk about, like, he'll sing like, I'm capable, I'm powerful, like those I statements, those powerful I statements that he'll sing in his songs, which then translate when your fans sing it, they're singing that about themselves. And I think that's really powerful. These spells that you get people to say about themselves, to insert that into their brains.
Yeah.
Because we got so much of that. I'm not good enough. Oh, I suck. Like, we say that to ourselves on the daily. On the daily. And I'm always catching myself saying something like that. And I'm like, would you say that to your friend? No, don't say it to yourself. Like,
wow. The reason I say wow is because that is a conversation I have had with people when talking about self-deprecation.
yeah.
And that's almost word for word what I would say. You have a best friend. Would you speak to your best friend the way you're speaking to yourself? Of course you wouldn't. Then stop speaking that way to yourself.
Right.
Now, let me ask you about that in light of the perspective that I have gained over the last few months of this concept of perfection and preciousness. You grew up in the Christian faith, as did I. And for that particular philosophy, we will accept the concept of the sacrifice. I know for some it's not a concept, it's real. So to that end, if the Creator who created us didn't care one whit about our own demise, he could have just wiped us all out and started over. I mean, he is the Creator after all, right?
Yeah.
However, he didn't do that, did he? He chose to have a sacrifice for us, which means that we were precious even before the sacrifice. How much more precious are we now following the sacrifice? What do you think about that in terms of this whole thing of people talking down about themselves? I had one guy doing news here, and he would be in the other studio, and he would make a mistake, and you could hear the screaming, the yelling, and the profanity at himself.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I feel it. I mean, I still am guilty of it myself too. It's something I'm becoming aware of more and more. But yeah, it does, just seeing it in other people, which is so cool about other people, is them being mirrors for us, is being like, wow, if I can see that in them, I need to be able to see that in myself.
Mm-hmm.
I can. I'm allowed to. It's like, wow, okay, I can give myself that freedom to not yell at myself, not do these things, because I can easily like look at someone doing it on themselves and be like, you don't have to do that. Like, why would you do that? You wouldn't do it to your friend. Why would you do it to you? And then you can turn that back into yourself as a mirror, giving yourself that allowance to not. But yeah, I just, it breaks my heart how much that is a thing in our society. Like how much it's just that self-hate, I see it in everyone. I don't think anyone's exempt from this. Very few, if there are, that harsh self-talk
Yeah.
that we go under, and that critic. It's, yeah.
We're talking with Jupiter. IamJupiter.com is her website. And this has been a fascinating conversation. And I'm looking forward to maybe more down the road, talking more about the music that you're putting out and the messages that you want to get out to people. And that, has there ever been a song that the only message was, hey, let's just have some fun?
Yeah, I think so. I have to think about it. Not really. I know I could do some songs like that, but they always have like a tweak. They always have something in there. There's always more than just the fun there for most of them.
Sure.
But yeah.
Well, I am glad that we were able to have a little fun here on the program. Tell me your story, New Paradigms for a New World, along with Jupiter. And we look forward to hearing more from you as well. When this album comes out, please, let's touch base again, and we'll feature some of that music on the program as well. It's just, everybody has this song inside, this story they need to tell, this message they need to get out. And it can be done through music, just with the voice, or if you're able to play an instrument. I'm in the process, at least right now, it's a slow process of learning how to play the guitar. But I'm giving it a shot. My hands are kind of getting used to that.
Yeah. It's a little bit every day. It gets you there.
Yeah, I have to develop the calluses on my fingertips to really know that I'm making some progress, and they're not there yet, but I'm working on it. And so it is possible to add to one's repertoire. And we thank you so much for adding to ours here on Tell Me Your Story.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was really awesome. Loved the great conversation topics that you brought up today. So I would love to come back on and talk to you guys about my album and all my new adventures when they happen.
Well, let's do that. I do have 3 final questions for you, but before I ask those, I need to let our listeners and viewers know that you can listen to us on Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., and our special edition of Tell Me Your Story, 9 a.m. on Wednesday mornings. That's 9 a.m. Wednesdays. And we're podcasting at richarddugan.com. You can also listen live at those times, but the podcasts are on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, and other locations that you folks are posting and reposting our interviews to. Thanks for doing that. We also ask if you can help us out financially. We would greatly appreciate it. We have a PayPal account for your security as well as ours. And we ask you to participate in the Decade of Perfect Vision, the 2020s. Go within, spend that time getting to know you. Quite honestly, I think it's been said many, many times over the centuries, maybe the millennia. The more you know you, the more you know others. And we hope that you will take that time. With that being said, the first of 3 questions to my guest here on the program today. Number 1, who is Jupiter?
She is an ever-changing stream of consciousness coming through. Yeah.
What is it that you hope to or want to achieve through the work that you're doing now?
Free minds. Free the minds. Help the masses.
And finally, what is your life's purpose?
To alchemize.
And also a reminder, we are on YouTube. The YouTube channel is Richard Dugan, Tell Me Your Story. And again, the website for my guest Jupiter is IamJupiter.com. And we hope that you will go there. Until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, love to lol.